Now you have to know that the e-tron GT is the first battery electric vehicle based on a low-floor platform. And because of this, you have to know that aerodynamics are very important for an EV, because you can extend the range. And that's why we came up with a complete new design process. Before we did the first sketch, we went with the whole team for many weeks to the wind tunnel. And during this time, we create the volume and the shape of the car. And by this, we came up with some really sophisticated aerodynamic ideas, like the flush single frame, like this air curtain here, like the flush rocker, and my favorite detail, like this super fast, almost streamline shaped roofline. And and all these features together are the reason why we left the wind tunnel with a very low drag coefficient of 0.2. And that's the reason why we could increase the range by many, many miles. That's not all. No, talking about design. Stephen, you have to know that the basis for good design are proportions. And these proportions are simply awesome. But the proportions are defined by the package. And on this package, I have to say, is a technical masterpiece. There's a huge battery pack located in the floor, 95 kilowatt. It's very big. It is a real four-seater, and the result is that the overall height is 2 inches less than an S7. And the reason is that the engineers came up with a battery pack which has different height levels. And that's the reason why even a tall guy like me is able to have enough head clearance in the second row. And that's why this car it's a new or modern or very progressive interpretation of a classical GT. That means proportions like a super sports car and the usability of a real four-seater. And that's something completely new. And talking about details, please have a look to this super progressive daytime running lights. That is the next step in our light technology, this X, which visualize laser light technology. The taillights are matching perfectly to the headlights, the precise LED band which are running in these vertical elements. And this creates a unique and progressive expression. And, Stephen, my favorite detail, have a look to this muzzle. That's the widest muzzle we ever designed at Audi. And to sum it up, the e-tron GT embodies in perfection the next level of Audi's design language.
The Audi e-tron GT's interior doesn't look quite as futuristic as its exterior. Sure, it comes with all sorts of posh materials and mood lighting, because you have to have a bit of mood lighting these days. But lots of bits look like they've been carried over from other Audi models, like the flat-bottomed steering wheel and the touchscreen infotainment system. That could have come straight out of an RS6. The heating controls are new though. Instead of another touchscreen, which can be a bit fiddly to use while you're driving, you get a row of ordinary buttons. What's more, you get some sport seats that are exclusive to the e-tron GT. They come with 8-way electric adjustment as standard, but of course you can pay extra for 18-way adjustment if you fancy a bit more adjustment. And there's also a leather-free package.
Yeah, so this comes with vegan-friendly materials like faux leather, man-made wool, and trim made from recycled plastic bottles. Yeah. It's really great if you're into virtue signalling.
Well, essentially, it was very simple. We followed the principle form follows function, which means that in extremely interactive and close collaboration with our designers, we developed the surfaces of the vehicle so that they have an aerodynamic function, but also an aesthetic function. We achieved this result in two ways. First, we ensured that the basic shape of the vehicle is such that a minimum amount of lift is generated. The second major feature is that we have 3 different active aerodynamics measures which allow us to calibrate the lift balance of the vehicle depending on the driving configuration. Well, the aerodynamics highlights of the e-tron GT are manifold, but if I had to name two, they would be, first of all, the outstanding drag coefficient of 0.24, which I think is very, very good for a class of vehicle of this type. The second aerodynamic highlight is that through the various active measures that we brought into the vehicle, we were able to give our colleagues from the styling department as much freedom as possible to create a very, very aesthetic exterior design. Aeroacoustics are indeed extremely important for a Gran Turismo of this type. We paid a lot of attention to the glazing concept, to the ceiling concept, and also used optimized wing mirror in order to achieve the top results that we did for this vehicle. Even though I'm an engineer, finishing a vehicle project like this is in fact an emotional moment. What's particularly impressive for me is that we were able to achieve an outstanding drag coefficient in combination with a beautiful exterior design. And that's really something very, very important